Welcome to After the Call, the podcast dedicated to the stories and struggles behind the badge, the turnout gear, and the uniform. Each week, we'll bring you a powerful conversations with first responders, mental health professionals, and advocates who are breaking the stigma, sharing their journeys, and offering real solutions. We'll talk about PTSD resilience, family impact, and the resources that can make a difference. Because the job doesn't just leave scars on the body, it affects the mind, the heart, and the people who serve alongside us. And no one should have to carry that burden alone. This is After the Call, where you'll find strength through resilience.
All right, welcome to another episode of After the Call. I am your host, Patrick. Alongside of me is
Veronica.
And we have a special guest, Audra Weeks, today. So I know Audra, not in the first responder community, but you are passionate about helping people, and you have a very unique story and mindset on how to help people. So we'll kind of dive in that a little bit, talk about some things that might not be on everybody's table in regards to what's cool, what's not. But that's the thing, is like how are we going to heal in other ways, right? So if you want to give just a little background on kind of your story, maybe see what happened and go from there.
All right. First of all, super grateful to be here.
Yeah, bring that closer.
No being comfortable here, okay?
Grateful to be here. Thank you for having me. So a little bit about my background is I experienced a lot of trauma throughout my life, and the way I dealt with it was how my family taught me to deal with it, is we just sweep it all under the rug. And after I went through my divorce, I was rediscovering myself and stepping into things that interested me. And one was energy healing, and I went through different courses and became a Reiki master practitioner and learned a few different other frequencies. And then from there, I went to school to become a clinical hypnotherapist. And in that, I really learned a lot about how the brain works and was able to see how my life was literally following a repeating pattern. And I realized, when you sweep those things so far under the rug, it doesn't occur to you that you never dealt with them, but yet they are like a puppet master pulling the strings in your life. And so I'm like, I really think that I should go to therapy and try to unpack some of this stuff, because I genuinely thought that I had dealt with these things, and I didn't want to keep living my life the way I was living it. I didn't want those patterns to keep repeating, because it was miserable. And so I went to cognitive therapy, and it was really intense. I did this 12-week intensive program, lots of homework. I really dug deep, and I really learned a lot about myself in that. And I uncovered a lot of beliefs that I had held, unpacked a lot of trauma, and in that, like, I was sharing a lot on social media, my journey, and people are like, oh, you should write a book. And I'm like, never gonna happen, never gonna happen. Well, when I got to the end of that 12 weeks, I'm like, I told my therapist, I'm like, I think I'm gonna write the book. Because there's so many people that feel so alone in what they're going through. And even though all of our experiences are so unique to us, they're also not that unique. You know what I mean? Like, we experience it in our own unique way, but trauma is trauma, and people are out there suffering, and they don't realize, because a lot of people don't talk about it. I really think it's being talked about more and more now, for sure. Like, there's not a stigma so much around talking about what we're going through.
Right.
And I'm like, I think I'm going to write the book. I think people need to know, that they're not alone. And going through cognitive therapy, what I learned and like literally how those traumas created these beliefs within myself. And a lot of them were mistaken because as a child, which is where most of our trauma comes from, if you follow it all the way down, it's going to lead you back to your childhood and how you process things. That's where you start learning how to process. So everything that comes after that is being processed as that child, that wounded child. And, I just kind of got lost there for a minute.
Were you being told to just suck it up, like growing up, your trauma?
No, I never got told that. It was more of just silence. Like, we do not talk about it. We don't.
It's like sucking it up. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like avoidance, I guess.
Totally.
Because you said earlier when you started how, sweeping it under the rug or thinking that you had processed and dealt with it. But I think that's the misconception. We think if we put it away, that's dealing with it. And it's obviously now we are all more aware and we know that's not what happens. We put it away and it still goes somewhere. It's not dealt with, but it's not forefront. So for a lot of people, they think putting it away means dealing with it.
Yeah, and if it's not like affecting their
right
in a big way where it's obvious that it's affecting their life, they don't think it's affecting their life.
Absolutely.
But really, that puppet master
Yeah.
is pulling the strings.
Yep.
For sure. So I'll give you an example of like the silence. So when I was 8, I had a brother that got into a critical motorcycle accident. And a year later, he ended up taking his life. And in that, because that experience was so painful for my mom, we didn't talk about it in the house. So like there was nobody, like, how do you feel about this? To show sadness around it was hard for my mom. Like it was a constant, like if I cried about it, it was reminding my mom that her son was gone. Yes, was gone. And so I learned as a child, we don't show emotions that are going to make other people feel uncomfortable.
Yes.
So
that's hard, like not being able to process something when it happens.
Was it different for you?
What?
Growing up like that, something with your own family?
I wouldn't say it was different. It was just, there were so many different things that were happening that it's like, I didn't know what to process. Right. I mean, my mom was like, for a lack of better terms, banging a bunch of dudes. So I'd have like guys coming in and out of the house. And I'm like, I don't know who the fuck this guy is, that kind of stuff. So it's like,
Gotcha.
How do you process something like that?
Well, and if that's all you know, if that's the life you're living, that's all you know.
Yeah.
And so you don't know that there's something different. And that, something missing, if you will, because that's the life you're living. That's what you're experiencing.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't occur to you that there's something else. Sometimes we'll have an aha moment, especially as we grow older and we get a little bit more wisdom or experience under our belt. We'll have the aha moment, like, this can be different. But as a child, that's not there. That cognitive ability is not there yet.
Because the point I was trying to initially make was like, your silence is the same thing that first responders have to deal with as well, right? You go through a call, and you're not going to talk about it afterwards.
No.
You may joke about it for a minute just because that's your way.
It's kind of a little
like
off-gassing.
dealing with that emotional regulation at first, but like the next day you're not going to come in and be like, oh shit, that was crazy, let's talk about this. Like, you just leave it alone. If it comes up, you avoid it.
You've already put that away when you were done with that call, right? And you've had to go to multiple other things and then go home. So there's all these other layers that you've already packed on top of it. You're not going to pull it out the next day and talk.
Yeah, and our body truly does keep the score. So when you're layering and layering and layering, like you think it's out of your mind because you're into the next moment of your life. Your body's
still there. Yep.
It's keeping the score.
You need to read that book.
I have. I read it years ago.
No, read it again. That's why your knees jacked up.
I'm certain.
I actually haven't read that book, but I've done
Really?
enough. Yeah, but I've done enough of my own work with myself and witnessed others so many times that it's very clear that the body does keep the score.
Totally.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
All right, I shoplifted your story. Go ahead. So you were talking about, you wrote the book to talk about your stuff.
Yeah, and so when I wrote that book, I had a gentleman, a retired veteran, read it, and so there's a chapter in there. It's called PTSD, and I was really like talking about how. So I experienced. I guess I would call it an attempted homicide. I'm trying to use the word, leave the V word out because I don't want to.
No, I mean, but you can say how it is. I mean, were you a victim at the time of that moment?
Yes.
But you're not being a victim. You were in that role at that time.
I was.
So it's
definitely
okay to say that.
Okay. So I was a victim of an attempted homicide. And my uncle had come into my aunt's house in the middle of the night, and I was the only one downstairs, so he started with me first. And he tried to beat me to death in my sleep. And when his club shattered, he tried to strangle me. And so in my book, I really unpack a lot of different big experiences that I've had in my life and like the beliefs that I took from them, what I learned about myself in cognitive therapy. And I wrote a chapter on PTSD and talked about how these different events affected me. And it's specifically that one as far as PTSD. And he's like, I didn't realize that PTSD is the same. Like as a veteran,
Right.
He said, when you were describing how your PTSD was affecting you, it is the same as how my PTSD affects me. And so, I think there's maybe not a lot of awareness that PTSD is PTSD or PTS,
Right.
if you will. So, yeah. Where was I going with this, Patrick?
Did you want to talk like what you were feeling for that? How the comparison was?
Around what?
PTSD.
How was I feeling in what way?
So the veteran obviously read your book, talked about that chapter, and compared the two. So are you able to explain what you were feeling at that time? So people that might be watching this say, hey, her injury is different than mine, but then if you explain it, maybe they're feeling the same thing.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. So my symptoms. So for years, I would experience anytime my sleeping situation changed, like my kids weren't there, or my kids were there, or somebody else was in the house. Anytime, or if I was sleeping somewhere else, anytime my sleeping situation changed, I would have to go through scenario after scenario after scenario on how I was going to protect myself and protect my children or whoever else, was in the house if someone came in. If they came in through this door, if they came in through this door, if they came in through the window. I mean, every single night. Also, like loud noises, like if you hear like a certain tone, it would literally send a heat or a wave of energy from the top of my head to the bottom of my feet, and I felt paralyzed as this energy was moving through me, and it was just over a sound. Whenever my kids, when they were little, when they would come in to wake me up, like if they were sick or had a bad dream, they had to stand at the door and say, Mom, Mom. They couldn't come and touch me because it would, like I would come out of my body and really freak out. Yeah, it was stuff like that, and it lasted for years. And I actually, in that time in my life, I actually got addicted to crystal meth.
Wow.
Yeah. And you know, no person addicted to drugs is like, hey, you know what? I think it would be fun to be an addict. There's reasons that push them towards that. And one of my major reasons at that time was that I was scared to death to fall asleep. I was scared to death to fall asleep. And yeah, so those are some of the PTSD symptoms. Can you relate?
I can. And I mean, it's weird that you put it in those terms, the addict part of it, because I mean, how many, and I mean this not towards you, but how many junkies do we come across on the street who are literally trying to escape whatever trauma they're dealing with?
Yeah.
And it's like, we don't necessarily look at what the trauma is. We're like, oh, you fucking have meth or whatever. So, you know, you're busted, but it's
taking
just
you
like,
to Mesa.
you do not, you don't realize like the underlying, baggage that's there with it. Right. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's why, I mean, I know several people that turn to alcohol and all these other things, and they just can't get rid of that addiction due to the fact that they are escaping whatever is sitting in their head.
Right.
Yeah, and the unfortunate thing is that there is no escape from it.
You have to deal with it.
Yeah, the addiction is just...
It's just a numbing
It is.
tool.
And sometimes it's not even that. Like, still you can't... You're into this addiction now, and you still have this thing that you can't escape from. You know? Yeah. So I think going through that now, like, it has given me so much more compassion for people that have addiction in any way, shape, or form. It gives me more compassion because I know that there is a big reason why. Because nobody says, yeah, that's going to be fun.
No,
let's do that.
Yeah, everybody's
you know?
got some kind of story of like, oh, you know, I got in a car accident and I got prescribed these pills, and these pills turn to this, and this turn to that. So yeah, it's never just like, fuck it, let's do this today.
Right. This sounds like a great idea today.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun.
Right.
So in that, writing the book was super healing for me, and my hope is that other people who read it can see themselves, because we're all mirrors to each other. You know, we all have something to offer one another, and sometimes it's showing us things we don't quite like about ourselves, and sometimes it's showing us amazing things about ourselves. So in that, I was really hoping to reach people and let them know that they're not alone and that they can overcome this. And it was truly a labor of love, because it was the hardest thing I've ever done.
What's the name of your book?
Moving Mountains, A Hero's Journey.
Okay. You can get it on Amazon?
Yep, on Amazon.
All right.
Yeah. And so from there, shortly after I published my book, literally within months, I was on this podcast, and they're kind of like psychonaut guys. And we were talking about my book and hypnotherapy, and they started talking about some psychedelics. And I was like, yeah, I really want to experience 5-MeO-DMT. And they're like, you don't find the toad finds you. And it's true, you know, because you kind of put your ear to the wall, but when you're truly ready, it comes into your life. And it came into my life, and I went into psychedelics as kind of more a self-exploration. I didn't really look at it as part of my healing, because I just went through cognitive therapy and did all this healing. And I truly did do a lot of healing. I found out a lot about myself, lots of awareness, unpacked a lot of mistaken beliefs. I mean, it was super powerful. But little did I know, stepping into the psychedelic scene, that it was going to be a whole nother aspect of my healing journey. And what I realized doing these different plant and earth-based medicines is that, so for me personally, the trauma happened, and it was like an explosion happened in my body. And so you see this boom, and then this echoes out from that explosion. And the cognitive therapy was able to reach a small part of that echo that went out, but the psychedelics reached way out into those echoes. And it's been such a deeper level of healing.
Well, and I would say, because your cognitive brain still won't fully allow you to open up during talk therapy. You know, like you're gonna have some good conversations, but are you going to allow you to go to the deepest part of that conversation? I don't think so.
So are you saying that we, even maybe on a subconscious level, know like that there are doors to keep closed still? We're able to like stop.
You're still protecting yourself at
right.
some level, whether you're doing it consciously or subconsciously. Adding plant-based medicine, doing different types of ketamine therapy or whatever, that wall comes down whether you want it to or not.
It sure does.
And I think that goes to your point of like, you hit that point, and then the medicine open it up even more.
Yeah. I use the word picture I use is like, if you were to think of like a satellite, and you see the going from the satellite, like it's projecting its information. That is, to me, like what trauma is, you know, like it's isolated right here, like boom, and then that projection goes out. And the psychedelics have really helped me reach those outer waves.
All right.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about your first journey? Do you remember it?
So I actually, my journey started with Bufo, which is 5-MeO-DMT, and I started microdosing. I did microdosing doses, let's say that. And
so for you, she like did the Lamborghini of psychedelics,
okay,
versus like the Pinto.
Yes, I was going, when she was done, I was going to ask for an English version of all of this.
She went top tier.
But they were low doses, so and it was still super powerful. But I believe that there is an approach that you can work with 5-MeO-DMT that is a lot more gentle than you know, some people choose to work with it, which can be a little bit jarring. I choose a different path. I would say that the start of my experience, there was still a lot of resistance with me. I had a lot of fear. I had a hard time relinquishing control, because that's how I learned how to survive. Right. If I can control everything, then I'm safe.
Yep.
Right.
You know, and so with the psychedelics, you don't have any control in that space. And it feels really scary sometimes to let that control go. But as soon as you surrender, man, that's when the healing happens.
That's huge that you say that, because that's our community, is that first responder communities. We have to be in control of everything. Right. That's how we survive. That's how we keep people safe. Mm-hmm. If we've lost control, like, things are definitely going bad.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, it's going sideways.
So imagine that being internally now, you know. You're you know, stone-faced on the outside, keeping it cool. You're going to these calls, but you are literally losing everything, all your control on the inside, and you're trying to function. Mm-hmm. Like, that's, I would say, a lot of first responders.
I was just going to say that too.
Yeah. So not only are you dealing with your own problems, now I got to deal with Audra's problems because Audra's having a bad day today. And I wouldn't have contact with Audra unless you were having a bad day, right? There's no reason for me to contact you. So now I got to figure out what Audra needs, still keeping myself from losing my shit internally.
Sounds like a whole lot of pressure.
Yeah. It is a lot of pressure. And that's the thing is people don't realize we're humans.
Right.
You know, you go to this profession because you want to obviously help people. 99.99% of all first responders are there to help people, best intentions. You know, there's nothing, I would say, nefarious that they're trying to do in regards to being in that profession, right? But of course, everything that you see on social media now is always going to be the bad stuff, not the good stuff. But their whole purpose is to help save and improve people's lives. But at the same time, they're taking the toll for having to see everything and everywhere and doing all the bad stuff or having to deal with all the bad stuff that society doesn't want to deal with.
I can't even imagine witnessing everything that first responders have to witness. I honestly, I mean, I've been through a lot in my life, but that I can't imagine how
but
hard that
it's
would
not
be.
a tit for tat, though. I mean, you've
No.
experienced things that I would never experience either.
No, but I just mean like on a day-to-day basis, like I don't really know how to say how I'm feeling about it, but you're subjected to it day in and day out, you know? And I can't imagine that.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it before. Some of the stats are that most people will experience 3 to 5 traumatic events in their lifetime, while first responders will see, you know, anywhere upwards of 800 or more in their career.
I think that there's a lack of awareness too out there that people think that unless you experienced it yourself,
right, it doesn't affect you.
And that is so not the truth.
Totally.
So not the truth. I mean, just witnessing is trauma. And when you go to therapy and you dig deep, you know, they'll ask you those questions. Did you witness a trauma? Because that's a big deal, you know, and to see that day in and day out.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Even sometimes I think when we show up after the fact, right, the trauma is sometimes the family members dealing with them and their trauma, having to hear them go through it, not really be able to do anything for them because we're there to deal with, you know, whatever happened, but we become that person to them. They want answers, they want a shoulder, they want all these things, and we have to be able to pretend they're not, I don't know, somehow put that human feeling away that they're experiencing so that we can just carry on and do the job we have to do.
Yeah. Multiple hats, right? So we show up at your house, which hat am I going to put on when I walk in that door? Is it a Kevlar helmet because we're going to battle, or is it because I have to put on the social worker hat or the daddy, you know, dad hat, mom hat, you know, whatever, like all these different hats that you have to wear when you show up, because fuck, nothing really seems, you know, at face value when you walk in that door.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
But I mean, going through what you went through, that's harder than anything I've ever done, just so you're aware. Waking up and feeling and seeing all that is nothing I've ever experienced. And for you to have to live that for years is pretty intense.
It was pretty intense.
I mean, I shouldn't have to tell you that, but yeah.
No, it was pretty
You're the one that
intense.
was there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now with you doing the microdosing with 5-MeO, when did you start actually opening up to it?
I actually moved. So then I still kept with the microdosing, but I was having a hard time relinquishing control. And that particular medicine requires it. Like, so then I moved into psilocybin. And those experiences were always amazing. Learned a lot about myself, and sometimes, like, the journeys aren't always easy. In fact, they're really not ever easy. It's like you have to walk through the valley of the shadow of death, and make it to the other side, but it's so worth it, because it's the liberation that I feel emotional just even talking about it, because I can't believe how much more liberated I feel in my life. I felt liberated after I came out of cognitive therapy, but this type of liberation it's like there's stages of liberation. You'd think liberation is liberation, but it's not really.
Well, I don't think there's an end to your healing journey,
No, I think that's part of the human experience.
Right, but that's the problem is I come across a lot of first responders and veterans and stuff are like, oh yeah, I saw a counselor, I'm good. And then all of a sudden they're still having issues. I'm like, thought you were good, dude. Like, no, there's more to it. You got to do maintenance. There's other things that you can do to really dive deep into what's going on.
Well, I think that when people go through therapy, they are good for a moment. Mm-hmm. But what happens is so your brain forms a baseline program inside of it, and it's running this baseline constantly. And when you go through therapy and you start having these awarenesses about yourself, and you start realizing mistaken beliefs that you have and start unpacking things, you're starting to see different ways and how you've been stuck in this baseline program. And so you do have some movement there, but then ultimately you kind of revert back to that baseline program. Like, enough neuropathways haven't been created, and they're not strong enough to maintain that a lot of people end up going back to that baseline. So with the psychedelics, it really opens up your brain. This is how I like to describe it. So when you're a child, you're creative, and every day is a new day, and it's like an adventure, and you don't feel restricted in any way. You might in some ways, but all in all, like, you're in life to have some fun. It's about joy and friendships and connections and what's the next thing we want to do, and artistic. Like, all these parts of your brain are communicating with each other. And as you grow up, these programs start setting in, like the beliefs of your parents, the beliefs of your peers, and it starts forming into this narrow pathway. You experience trauma, and your body learns, and your brain learns ways on how to cope with feelings that you don't know how to process or hold or express. And so then it gets narrower and narrow, and pretty soon you're just on this narrow path. Well, the psychedelics open up that brain again, and it's like that child, like the different parts of the brain are communicating with itself again, and all these new neural pathways are being created. And because what happens when you're in the psychedelic is it completely bypasses that baseline program. You are completely taken out of that and taken to all these other spaces within yourself, within your brain. And if you do the integration work after, that's where you're supporting these new thoughts, these new neural pathways.
It works.
It does. It really does.
Just saying.
No.
It really does.
No, I will say the first time that you I guess, step into that journey, it is funky. And I don't like using the word scary, because it is different. I'd rather use the word different than scary, because yeah, you're going to face things that you may not be ready for, or walk through the valley like you were talking about. But it's like, you're not going to die.
But did you die?
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, is like, yeah, it's all there, but it's all things you've already seen. So it's just facing it again.
That, and it's, parts of ourselves, the shadows that we carry, it's all part of ourself. All parts of ourselves that have been neglected, on, things that we felt were unworthy of love about. It's all us. These shadows are not outside of us. It's all stuff that we've created within ourselves. And to face those shadows can feel really scary, and it can be really scary. But ultimately, if you just walk through it, you find out that those shadows is this your own inner child. And somehow it became a monster, within yourself. And really, it's just a scared little kid that didn't know how to process something and is feeling hurt, and it's all you. All of it's you. So it's all facing yourself. You're not having to face anything scary outside of yourself. It's all within you.
Yeah.
And it can feel scary, and I think some of that fear comes from anytime you're going to step into an unknown, even something exciting.
Right.
There's potentially going to be some fear there, because you don't know, you can't predict this, you don't have control, so I think that's where some of that comes from, for sure, stepping into that unknown. But man, is all the good stuff there.
Yeah, it's your ego that's keeping you back.
Yeah.
Well, I think a lot of people also don't want to, they've put those things away, right, for a reason. I think a lot of people are sometimes scared of having to face those things again. I think that's what, they don't want to know what that monster looks like.
Yeah, well, just because we have that box of stuff, right? And we use that analogy a lot. Like, we keep stuff and stuff in a box and put it in the corner or whatever. But it's not like everything in that box you're going to face. That's what's cool about doing a lot of these assisted journeys, whether it's through a prescription or whatever, is that your brain is able to dump stuff that it just didn't need. And then the stuff that you do need to face, it's going to present to you, because your brain's going to tell you exactly what it needs to do. Whether or not you're going to do the thing with it, that's your call. But it's like, I mean, Mark had that really good analogy. You have this library, you step into your journey, these books that you don't need are just going to fall out, right? And it's going to create space. And what you do to fill that space back is the integration that you were talking about, right? Doing that positive work, changing mindsets, dealing with certain things or whatever to put good books back into the shelf. But you don't have to read every book that you pulled off the shelf. Your brain's just going to get rid of it.
It's really amazing. Like, when you go on a journey, it really feels like so much is being sorted out, and a lot of it you have no idea what it is, but it's things are sorting itself out within you. And sometimes, it's not like you have to. I don't know that I have ever gone into an experience. I can't remember a time where I've actually had to face a trauma, if you will. It was more about recognizing mistaken beliefs and patterns that were created because of that trauma. Sometimes the way we think, or where, we are stuck in a belief of some sort that is really holding us back. It's going to be different for everyone. It's going to show up exactly how that person needs it to show up. But for me personally, like I never revisited a specific trauma where I had to relive it. You know, that's cognitive therapy. That's talk therapy.
That's true. Yeah.
That's your EMDR and brain spotting. All that
Yeah,
stuff,
is you're having to talk through it and like relive it. And
I think that's where it's different though for people who have never done it and don't know anything about it. Is we think talk therapy, EMDR, we still have some control over how much we're going to say, what we're, how far we're going to go with that. And I think the fear with doing any of the psychedelics and things is we're not going to have that control. We won't be able to stop what might come up or what might happen, versus if we're going and just having a counselor we talk to, like, we can control how vulnerable we become in those situations.
And that's that point I was trying to make. So for you, just use yourself as an example. I won't give specifics or whatever, but you were with your counselor talking about a certain thing, doing EMDR. There was still part of you that you were in control of, where you're like, I'm not going to push it to this limit because I don't want to. Right. So you may have not gotten that full relief of what you could have, the potential you could have had, just because you were still controlling the outcome of what happened. And that's a lot of us, right? Medicine takes that all away.
Right.
And that's what feels scary to people is they lose that control.
Yeah. I was scared way more of the talk therapy than any of this other stuff.
Interesting.
It's weird because you would think, oh, well, what could pop up? But it's like, it doesn't matter. I don't have that wall that I would normally have to prevent me from feeling something. Where talk therapy, I would always be very conscious of that. Well, I could add a brick here and there, or I could take it away if I wanted to, but I was still in control.
Right.
Where you're not.
I think one of the liberating things too in the medicine experiences is that it sounds scary for that wall to come down. It's like when you think, oh, the wall's going to come down, and you can feel that in your body already. I mean, if you say, oh, the wall's going to come down, you feel fear, right? When it's actually happening, it's like a sigh of relief. A sigh of relief happens, like, I can finally feel this. I can finally let this go. I can, and it's like you realize there's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing you can do about that wall coming down. It's going to come down, and to just feel that relief, like, let it show up however it's going to show up. Ugly crying, or your body shaking, releasing that traumatic energy that it's been holding inside of it. You can't control it. And honestly, it feels good to not be in control of it and to just let it happen. It's like a sigh of relief. Thank God,
Yeah, it's different.
Yeah. Yeah, but I would say, like I've sat with ayahuasca several times and psilocybin a lot, and a lot of 5-MeO DMT, and they're all so very different, and they all bring such a very different experience. And I actually feel like now, when I am choosing to sit with a medicine, it does feel like more self-exploration to me, because I feel like I've released and let go of so much. Am I healed fully? No. Like, stuff will still show up in my journeys that are showing me, like, you might, little work needs to be done here, or you need to love yourself a bit more here, a little discipline here. But I feel like it's a lot more about self-exploration for me now, which is really fun. Like, it doesn't always have to be hard.
With how far you've progressed in your journey, like, where you started from to where you are now, how much does your specific incident affect you now versus how it did back then? Like loud noises, sleep pattern changes.
The sleep, I'm not affected by it at all anymore.
Okay.
And that stopped actually a long time ago. Like that faded off the table. The loud noises, I will say that there still is, sometimes I'll hear like something fall to the floor and I will feel that rush come through my body. And I don't know what is, I don't know if it was the sound of the weapon he was using hitting my head, like it was a certain sound. And whenever my subconscious mind hears that noise, it's like a flash. I don't know what that is. So, but that does still happen. But like, I don't have nightmares about it. I don't have any intrusive thoughts around it anymore. There was something else that came to my mind that there was
The reason I was asking that is because you painted a very clear picture of your incident, right? Mm-hmm. And how you felt and what it was doing to you. There's a lot of people that feel those same type of symptoms, and I wanted you to be able to show that there is relief with that. It takes some time or whatever, but you don't have to live in that world.
No.
And a lot of people just accept it, and you don't have to. You really don't.
No, you don't. That's another reason why I wrote the book too, is to show that, and why I also am an advocate for the plant medicines, is because you can heal. You can heal. Maybe not to perfection, but human is never going to be perfect. Mm-hmm. That's part of being human. So, yeah.
Do you have questions about it? I know you do. You got to ask questions.
Well, no, I feel like, we've talked to a few people, and a lot of my questions, I think, have been answered. I think I always try to put myself in perspective for someone who's never done any kind of therapies, whether it be talk or, to me, I feel like they see this as like you start at talk, and this is like such a higher level of therapy, of treatment, right? And it's hard enough to get people to just start any help, much less to convince them, I think, that this is the answer, right? But I think from what I've been hearing is that the sooner we get to this level, the faster or the better we will feel versus doing just talk therapy for years at a time or something.
I would agree with that. I mean,
I would definitely.
I think talk therapy is needed at the beginning stage, because you need to be able to address certain topics, right? You need to be okay with talking about that stuff. But I will tell you, the plant-based therapy will way surpass years of talk therapy.
Right.
It's a fast track.
Yeah, and that's what I've heard from people.
Huge. From
people who do this professionally, help guide others through this professionally, but also from those who have experienced it themselves. That's been the most positive thing, I think, that I've heard, is that it just speeds up your recovery.
Very much so.
It's been used for hundreds of thousands of years, for different cultures, different groups, different countries, you name it. Like, plant medicine has been used to, like, we've talked about the off-gassing from a warrior to a civilian, mm-hmm. right? Indigenous people have used plant-based medicine as part of that journey to change from one to another. Why? Because it works. There's a reason for it.
So what do you think the stigma, why do you think there's so much stigma behind it?
Of plant-based medicine?
Yes, of going there.
One of our profession, right? We're in a profession where drugs are bad. Mm-hmm. But this is not a drug, right? I'm not classifying this as weed or, I mean, I'm not a fan of weed, but meth, heroin, pills, stuff like that, right? This is a different ingredient altogether, right? But we're in a profession where anything that alters the state of mind is bad.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we change that mindset, right? There's tons of research going on. I mean, there's several states within the United States right now that are using psilocybin-based therapy as a mode of therapy for veterans and first responders. And we're currently doing those same trials here. I mean,
And there's huge stuff going on with ibogaine, too.
Yeah.
Huge stuff going on with ibogaine.
Did you watch that movie yet?
No.
Waves of War?
I have not.
Have you watched it? Watch
So-
it. Netflix. Watch it. Waves of War.
I gotta put a note because I'll forget that again.
So yeah, so it's tier 1 operators, Marcus Capone, DJ Shipley, and a couple other guys who go down to Tijuana to do a retreat with ibogaine assisted therapy.
Okay.
They go down there, they do the ibogaine, 14 hours of vomiting and throwing up and all this other stuff, and then it's followed by the 5-MeO DMT.
Okay, that does not sound like fun at all.
No, it's not.
It
But
does not sound-
your body's purging
It can
trauma.
really not be fun.
But you know,
I will
I
tell
would
you
say-
it's worth it.
And I would say, so when I first went through my injury, I think I did talk therapy for, I started in 2015, end of 2015, and workers' comp, and we all agreed that it was probably March of 2018. But up to that point, I was going at least twice a week, maybe down to once a week, forever. It felt like forever, right? I was just always in the office, and we were always just going through the same things and whatever. So, I mean, I guess on one hand, sitting for 3 years doing that versus a 15-hour purge might not be the worst
Right.
situation.
Let me put this into cop terms. Would you rather be sprayed by OC or tased?
Tased,
Why?
because it's over.
In how long?
Like 5 seconds.
Right?
Yes.
Is that for you?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
That was a good analogy.
I mean, that's the thing is, right?
It's
You're going to sit there for 45 minutes, with the burning, the snot, and all this other stuff, right?
And
That's
then
your
it's
talk
gonna,
therapy.
then you're gonna blink 5 hours later, and the shit's gonna go in your eyes.
You take a
again.
shower
Yes.
and you're like, fuck. But no, 5 seconds of the ride, you're done, right?
Yeah.
And then you're back in the game. But I'm not saying it's fun during that 5 seconds,
Right? No.
but you feel like you can function again.
Yeah. Oh yeah. As soon as it's done, you're done.
I actually stayed with my therapist for, I think I was with her for 3 years, and she actually helped me a lot with integration. She didn't know anything about psychedelics. Like, I was bringing a whole new world to her. Like, she said, when I said, I feel like I'm complete here. She told me that I had taught her so much, like I took her on a journey through my own journey. And I mean, I thought the talk therapy was still really good for me for integration purposes, able to talk through my experience, and like more information would come up, and maybe another perspective of how to interpret the experience itself. Because some of the experiences, especially like with psilocybin, the way the information shows up it can be weird. You're like, what does this mean? And then usually at the end of the experience, it kind of all wraps up, and it's like, oh my gosh, like the profoundness of what you've received and what you've let go of really takes hold.
And what I think I'm hearing also is that this stuff comes up on its own versus in talk therapy. I feel like sometimes she's like she's trying to pull something from me, and I'm just like answering the question, or partially, depending on how I'm feeling that day. I'm giving her half answers, no answers, some answers, whatever. But it's not a voluntary. I'm not there just purging everything. They're walking you through it, or trying to get something elicit something from you, versus it just being it's it's going to happen on its own.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and you're also dealing with life, because you may have an agenda to go into talk therapy, right? You have your critical incident. Well, that's your main focus, but let's say the day before something happened. Well, now the thing that happened day before is now your priority.
Mm-hmm.
So your critical incident is now being put on the back burner.
Right, because you're talking about
You're talking about
what's on forefront. Yeah.
Right. So now it's constantly being pushed farther away of what you're trying to deal with versus just dealing with it at once.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
But I don't know. You've also helped me with my journey.
Yes, I want to talk about
You
that.
want to talk about it?
Sure.
So I got in contact with you, and I can't remember who actually connected us, but whoever did,
I
good for them.
actually think that I reached out
To me, I think.
Yes, because
Yes,
I
and
was
Veronica,
Yeah.
good job. Thanks for connecting us.
I was on the board of another nonprofit
Yes.
organization and seeing how we could collaborate and work together, because it was for this other organization was looking to help veterans and first responders.
Yep. So we got in contact with each other. We started talking. I told you a little bit about my story. And then I had tons of questions, right? Because my biggest thing was I was like, ibogaine. I want to do ibogaine because I heard that's the top-notch thing to do. And I wasn't. I don't even know if I'd want to do it now. I don't know. So we talked a lot about it, and you answered the specific questions that I had specifically about 5-MeO, because even though it's a psychedelic, right? Each form of psychedelic does a different thing for you.
Totally different.
Where, like mushrooms or psilocybin, you're going to feel and see and smell and taste and all these different things, where like 5-MeO, like once you do it, you're just like, all right, I'm waiting. And then shit happens, right? You start getting answers versus colors and all these other different things. Like, I don't know how to explain that portion of it, but it's totally different.
It's like your body is completely sharing its wisdom with you.
I would say it's like your spirit.
All of it.
Yeah. It's fucking crazy. So we went to an undisclosed location, we'll say. And you did a very good job of, one, getting me prepared for the day, because there was a diet that I had to do a couple of days before, because there's certain things you don't want to do to interact with the medicine.
Okay.
And it could be diet, it could be caffeine, sleep, all these different things. And then I cannot remember the first thing that you did to me. The
hape?
hape. That shit was wild. So best thing I could say is it's a very ancient technique where a dust is blown into your nostrils. You don't swallow it. You just kind of hold it there. It burns. And then maybe you can explain exactly what it's doing to me, because it relaxed me a lot, but it was uncomfortable at first.
So hape is actually legal. It is a shamanic snuff, and it's made from, it's a tobacco based, and it's made from different tree barks and shrubs and herbs, and it's made in different countries. And the reason why you felt so calm and grounded, in my opinion, is because it's all like plants and they're earth rooted. That is what it brings forward, is this rooting within yourself, this grounding within yourself. I like to serve the hape. I like to offer it before a ceremony or session, because a lot of times people will come in feeling anxious, and it really just helps people kind of calm down and it brings a sense of safety because they feel that sense of safety in their body because they feel grounded again and not like, oh, what's going to happen?
Yeah, I was very relaxed. Still anxious, but not as bad.
Yeah.
And then we went into, you explained all the dosing to me, all the other stuff. And you did a very ceremonial type entry for me into this journey, which was super cool. Because it's not like you walk into like a doctor's office and you're like, here, take this. So that was very interesting. And I thought it made the experience even better for me.
I'm glad to hear that.
So you were like my shaman at that moment. And then I took the first dose, which was, I won't talk about numbers or whatever, but first dose, like the entry level dose. And I remember, so you inhale it, you hold on to it for as long as you can. And then you kind of like, you sit up as you do it, and then you fall back and you lay down. You release it. And I remember I was like, oh shit, this is my first time. And I was like, I'm going to see fucking all kinds of crazy stuff. And nothing happened. And I remember just sitting there for like 10 minutes. And I was just trying to be very patient because I was like, maybe it'll just happen. But that entry level wasn't really going to do very much. And I think it was just more of a relaxation portion to integrate me into that first thing. But I was trying to be like really polite and just like nice about it. I was like,
what's really funny when he says this is that he was actually laying there for like 30 minutes. I thought he had fallen asleep, which is not, so
that makes it even worse.
Well, because that first dose is intentional. All the dosing is intentional, but that first one is to kind of gently. A lot of times these medicines will kind of like blast you into the, and especially this one because it comes on so quickly. We can walk into this with gentleness for ourselves, and that first dose, usually people just feel so calm and relaxed afterwards. They have a small experience, but nothing like what you hear 5-MeO DMT is, It's not about the destination. It's about the journey.
Yeah. So I guess I was laying there for 30 minutes. I don't know.
So
I was trying to, and that's the thing. Cause I was like waiting, cause it could happen at any point. So I just assumed something would happen.
You were like patiently waiting.
Yeah. So then we did it again. The increase, happened. And the first time I felt it, it was out of this world. I don't even know how to explain it. I remember because essentially you're getting answers to questions that you don't even know you have questions for, right? So even though you have an intention when you're doing it, things are just going to be told to you. Your spirit, your body, whatever, is just going to tell you things that you just need answers to, but you may not know you're asking questions for, if that makes sense. I know that sounds very hokey, but
it doesn't sound hokey to me at all.
All right, so I'm trying
because I've experienced it.
I know
exactly what you're doing.
It sounds hokey as shit, but trust me. So it does go somewhere. The third, because each dose is increased in potency, and then you feel something different. My third dose, I felt nothing but pain. My body hurt so bad.
Interesting.
And that's where the body keeps the score comes into play, because it was literally telling me everywhere I was holding on to trauma and stuff. So my fucking face was on fire. My back was hurting. My knees were hurting. All these different areas were just pain that I've never felt before. And it was something I couldn't just move and adjust. I felt it for a while, which was very interesting because it was literally my body telling me where I need to focus.
You felt it for a while there, or after?
No, during this.
Okay.
And it went away probably after minutes.
Okay.
I don't know how long. I mean, you told me it was 30 minutes, but it could have been 5 for me. I don't know. And then the most profound one was my fourth dose. That was, I could not stop crying. And the reason was, visually, I was seeing my wife running through a field, like, and not in a scary running, like she was actually enjoying herself, like frolicking, you know, leaves and flowers, and
peaceful and playful.
Very just energetic. And I was like playing with her in the same visual thing that I was seeing. And it was literally my body telling me it's okay to be happy again. Because we put on the face of like happiness, right? We're fucking happy. We're not really happy. Right. But my body was telling me it's time to be happy. And it was very profound for me. I was crying. I don't know for how long.
Maybe it was like, it's okay to be happy, right? Because I think sometimes in our profession, because we pack so much in, and we have guilt for like the people we love because we take away from them because we're doing this, and you know, we're missing events, but then we also feel all these other feelings for victims or family members that we don't allow ourselves to actually feel. And so maybe that was the, like, it's okay to not have guilt, to not have all these negative things, and just be happy.
To let the things
you
go.
deserve to be happy too.
Yep. Let the things go and actually be happy, feel happy and be happy. So that crying that you're talking about, where you're uncontrollable crying, I had that. And I felt just tons of weight being released. I mean, I don't know where I kept it, but it was gone, right? I felt much lighter. I felt a different capacity in my brain. And I had just like a renewed vision on what I should feel versus what I am feeling.
Or what you could feel.
Yes. Yeah. And then I don't remember what happened on the fifth one.
No,
the fourth one was the most profound thing I've ever done. Huge. So, and then all the while, like you're doing all things like in the background, ceremonial things like.
I use a lot of sound. Like I'll kind of read what's going on, and honestly, I ask your highest self to dictate the music. We said the prayer right at the beginning, asking your higher self to bring forth the music. I have like this playlist that's like 18 hours long, and I put it on shuffle and ask the other person's higher self to bring forth the music that they need for their journey and their healing. And a lot of times that music will tell me what I need to do, what I need to be doing. And so I do use a lot of sound, like crystal bowls and sometimes drumming. It just all depends. And sometimes I don't do anything at all. You know, I'll just sit there and hold the space and be a witness for them. But sound is super powerful. Like, we are slowed down sound waves. That's what we are, you know, like.
I mean, music is part of everything in our life. Good, bad, positive, negative. Everything is associated with some kind of sound, music, beat, whatever. And it really brings out the best of us.
Well, and sound too, like the different tones, especially with the bowls, helps your body to release. It's a sound frequency that helps your body to actually release different energy, and sound is super powerful. Super, super powerful.
You're gonna have to try
it. One step at a time, buddy.
Like even if you want to just go try a sound bath and just see how that feels inside your body, to just be present with those sounds and feel it in your body.
Have you done those before?
No.
Never? Have you? Oh shit. Jess Carter does them. So next time, well, you should go to her studio, and she's got the different bowls, and like she'll start doing the thing, and it's got a tone, and then she'll change the tone, and then your body will start reacting and relaxing in different ways. Mm-hmm. It's very soothing.
And sometimes it's also very unsoothing on purpose. It's like your body's trying to release something, and that sound actually, like the drumming, can be really hard for people sometimes, because it's like you're literally energetically helping that person, kind of pounding it out a little bit, and it can feel uncomfortable.
Like, have you ever heard like one of your favorite songs, and normally you can jam out to it or whatever, but this one time you were singing it and all of a sudden you started crying? Have you ever done that?
I don't know.
Apparently I'm the only weird one in the room, but
nope, I'm the weird one too.
No, it's something on a deeper level where your brain is allowing that emotion to come out due to that music.
I mean, I will say there's sometimes where the sound or the beat or whatever of music is like something I could get into, and sometimes I'm just like, oh no, not today. Or I need to turn it
Same
off.
thing.
Like, okay.
Yep. Where it's just too much.
Yeah.
Because it's pushing a limit of something in your emotion, and you're like, nah, I don't want it. That.
Yeah, I can relate to that.
Okay, so I'm not the only weird.
No.
We're weird. We can be weird.
I love being weird.
So, what other things are you doing right now with that? Because you told me that you're going to do another retreat or.
Yeah. One thing that I wanted to say about the 5-MeO DMT, the Bufo, is, well, again, all of them bring something completely different to the table. And, like if you're looking at, people will say, well, how does it compare to psilocybin or ayahuasca? Well, there is no comparison. And you can't compare any of those three, like they're all so very different. But one thing I will say with psilocybin and ayahuasca, because psilocybin mushrooms come from mycelium, which is an underground network. It's all underground. And the ayahuasca comes from, a plant. It's rooted. So a lot of those experiences tend to be more. They're all inward, but these definitely feel more inward. And it's like you're going underground into your subconscious, if you will, like the mycelium or the roots from the plants. It's that kind of experience. But with Bufo, while you're still going inward, in my opinion, because I believe everything is already inside of us, it is more, it's like you're having your experience more in the light rather than in the dark. Not that either one of them is better than the other, because this is a world of duality, right? Everything has its counterpart here. And so when we say dark, like you're going into the darkness with ayahuasca or psilocybin, it's not different than going in the light, if you will, as far as good or bad. Like neither one of them is good, and neither one of them is bad. But the Bufo is definitely you're having your experience in the light rather than in the shadows. It's while you can still do shadow work with Bufo, you're not actually in the shadow. So it's very different in that way. And another thing about the 5-MeO DMT is because it's so short, the experience is so short. There's some research coming out that it's more conducive medicine for people with PTSD, because they're not stuck in something for hours and hours and hours. Mm. It's happening very fast, and they're not caught up in there. So those two things I wanted to say about the Bufo. And it's all about the journey too. Like, I don't have any negative opinions towards people who tend to serve it a one and done. That's not how I choose to go about it. I choose to be more gentle and let it be about the journey and not the final destination. But yeah, I think facilitation definitely is important. Like, know who you're sitting with and how they, choose to serve their whatever medicine it is.
Well, I think that goes with any provider that you deal with, any counselor, any journeyman that you're working with, whatever. It's got to be somebody you trust.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to open up.
Yeah, safety. In order to feel safety, there has to be trust, and that safety is super important. Feeling safe is super important. Yeah. But yes, I have some exciting news. So me and a couple other women facilitators from California are going to be hosting a 6-day 5-MeO Bufo immersion in North Phoenix at the end of July, beginning of August, and I am so excited about it. So excited.
Is that geared to, just for women, or is that open?
No, it's open.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And there's going to be a lot of like somatic practices and embodiment work, yoga. Like, it's just going to be such a beautiful. I just feel so excited. Like, I feel so honored and privileged to be a part of something that's going to be so special. Like, I have a sacredness towards all of this, and that's why I show up the way I do in a session, because I can't tell you exactly what the other person is going through because everyone experiences it uniquely, but I know how powerful the experience is and how healing the experience can be and how sacred the experience is. Like, in any one of these plants or earth-based medicine, the experiences are so profound, and to be a part of that with somebody else and to be a witness of somebody else's experience is extremely sacred. Very, very sacred to me. So yeah, being a part of this retreat, I'm excited.
Well, I will say I'm very humbled that you did that journey with me the way you did it. And I don't have anything to compare it to, but it was phenomenal for me. So I appreciate it.
I'm glad you showed up for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Questions?
No, I don't think
Concerns? No.
Do you have any questions?
I don't.
All right.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
No, I think it's a great topic. I know it's different. Now that the train,
right?
Yeah. I know it's a different topic, but it's one of those things that people should keep their mind open to.
Well, I think you don't know what you don't know, and
Right.
this is although it's not new, I think in our world, it's a very new option that people are considering, or that people can consider, that maybe we have been very reluctant to, because it isn't an option. We don't call EAP and they're not like, hey, let's go do this, so I think it's a very new to our world, and it's good for people to have the information, to hear it, and to learn about it, I guess, so that they can consider it as an option instead of sitting in therapy for 3 years and feeling better but not healed.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't. I mean, I believe that everything has a seat at the table, like prescription medication and stuff. And there's been a couple times in my life where I was on an SSRI for like 6 months at a time to help me through something hard. But they all have a place and they all have a function, but a lot of people don't want to be on those for the rest of their life, because there's a numbing that happens there and a flatness that they experience life in.
Right. It takes the bad away, but it also takes the good away.
Yeah. And people don't want to live flat like that anymore. It doesn't feel like life. It feels like existence.
Right. Yep.
So it's really nice for people to have other choices. And this path, isn't for everybody. And that's okay. But it's nice for people to have the choice if they want to travel down this path or not. Okay. I'm glad that the opportunity presented itself to me, because I would have never known what I didn't know.
Right.
I'm so glad what I know now. It's been amazing.
Very cool.
Well, everything happens for a reason.
I believe that.
Connections are made because there's a higher purpose for it.
Yeah.
Truly believe that. There's I don't believe in anything random.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you coming out. I think it's super
Yeah.
cool that you got to share some of your story. I know some of it's not fun to talk about, but it shows that even different professions, different ways of life, all experience trauma, and trauma is the same, or the feeling of trauma is the same.
Yeah.
Right.
I can happily say that I'm in a point in my life, in my own journey in healing, that I don't feel that emotion anymore when I talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
That's huge.
It's huge. Huge.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks.
Thank you.